From London, this is the Standard Podcast, and I'm Mark Blunden. Coming up,
prices are going up and we're expected to pour more money down the drain when we're not getting the service that people have paid for.
brace yourselves. London's water bills are set to shoot up by nearly £100 by 2030. But first, England's late winner against the Netherlands has sparked a rush of fans trying to get to Berlin in time for Sunday night's final. Evening Standard reporter Robert Dex has the latest on the race to grab those gold dust tickets for the showdown against Spain. The Three Lions win in the second semi-final in Dortmund means the Spanish fans have had an extra 24 hours to sort out flights, trains, tickets and accommodation, leaving England supporters playing catch-up. You won't be surprised to learn the prices are sky high. Stay tuned to find out how much. It comes after that last gasp wonder goal by Ollie Watkins added to Harry Kane's zinger of a penalty. Now all eyes are on the Olympiastadion in the German capital. Plus there's some very special news for London if England win. We're joined by Rob Dex now. When we spoke on Monday, those semi-final tickets were going for silly money. How about now?
Sillier money, I think, is probably the best description. As ever, official England fans who travel the length and breadth of the continent and the world to support the team do get the tickets or can get tickets through the FA website. But even that is, if you go on the FA website, it basically says the application for final tickets is going to be a nightmare. They use slightly more diplomatic language, but they're expecting to have their sale tomorrow. Even they say, the window is open only for a few hours, and obviously people are going to be scrambling to get out to Germany. Some people will be scrambling to get to Berlin because they're already there. And they say, you probably want to get somebody to log in and buy these on your behalf if you're going to be on a train hurtling through Germany, for example. So it's going to be difficult, I think. But people will get tickets. The people who don't get the official tickets, the resale sites. The cheapest ticket I found this morning was £1,500. VIP packages, now that's real top end stuff, were on sale for. This doesn't mean people are buying them. They were on sale for 66 grand. Today is Thursday. The final is Sunday. I can't imagine those prices are going down over the next couple of days, put it that way. It's just going to get tighter and tighter, isn't it? Prices are going to get higher and higher as it gets over towards kickoff. And I think there's always that last minute kind of people have got long enough to think about it and I'm going, I'm not going. And then some people are bound to decide on Friday night or Saturday that they're going to go or they want to go and will try to buy tickets. So I think prices will get higher and stay high for a few days, as you'd expect.
How about flights and accommodation?
The good news, accommodation-wise, obviously the game's in Berlin. Berlin has a lot more accommodation than Dortmund or any other provincial German city. So that's not so bad. People who are prepared to pay for expensive tickets, expensive flights, at least should be able to get cheapish accommodation. There's rooms for £100 still going on Sunday night, that kind of thing. Flights are looking pretty pricey. I went on the EasyJet website. There's a flight Gatwick to Berlin today, £917.99. There's a flight at the weekend, Gatwick to Berlin, £917.99. If you wait till Monday when it's all over, you get there for £104 by comparison.
And Ollie Watkins, that wonder goal. And now there's calls to name a certain piece of infrastructure in his honour.
This is a really sort of nice story about this team and the wider squad. Why do people want to name a pier after him? Well, because even though he plays in the Premier League now for Villa, and actually they're in Europe as well next season, he started out Exeter City, which was then in League Two, I believe. He didn't get a game for Exeter City because he was just a youngster, so they sent him out on loan to Weston-super-Mare in the non-league, where he scored a hatload of goals and became a fan's favourite. And Weston-super-Mare FC now want to name their pier after him. Whether Weston-super-Mare Council or whoever owns the pier agrees is an entirely different matter. But it's a nice reminder that a lot of these guys have learned their trade in the lower leagues. Harry Kane playing for Millwall. I'm old enough to remember Jordan Pickford turning out for Carlisle United when he was on loan from Sunderland.
How would you describe England's playing style as evolving over the tournament, and is the best to come?
Tournament football's a very odd thing, isn't it? You play 3 games in your group and you go through the knockout stage. I think there's just some plain and simple getting used to it, relaxing more, being more confident, not losing this game, so you're going to play a bit better in the next game. Everyone talks about Jude Bellingham's last-minute winner. That's it. With something like that, you could imagine them starting to think, well, actually, maybe the stars are aligned, then we're onto something here. I do always think Holland will be a different prospect to Spain. Holland play a bit like England, so it was maybe a bit more like they felt comfortable playing Holland. whereas Spain have been the standout team. And we've never really had to defend, have we? Whereas you think we may have to dig in and defend against Spain's attack, but we will see. I mean, I'm pretty confident, to be honest. Getting to the final is brilliant. Even if they lose, it's been an absolutely brilliant job getting there. And actually, the way they're playing, the extra confidence they seem to have, why can't they?
And our colleague Ross Lydell is reporting on some interesting plans for London celebrations if England go all the way.
Yes, that is the important bit. This is what if England win. But no, the Standard today can exclusively reveal via Ross that planning has started for a victory parade, basically. I mean, we know that Keir Starmer said he's going to be out in Berlin, but if the team win, they will come back. They will come to Downing Street. They will also go to Buckingham Palace, where they will likely meet the King. There's an open-top bus parade planned from Guildhall in the city to the Palace via Trafalgar Square on Tuesday, apparently. You can remember the scenes when the Lionesses won the Euros. I mean, you can imagine it could get pretty busy in central London. I mean, millions of people on the streets, you'd imagine, especially if the weather holds. So that's good. I mean, with Prince William, the president of the FA, so I imagine he's probably been quite involved in this as well and planning the royal reception. This is all with the caveat that they need to win. And I understand if they don't win, there will not be a runners-up parade, if you like.
Let's go to the ads. Coming up, Thames Water bill hikes, nationalisation and London's super sewer with one of the capital's top experts on utilities law and regulation. Why not hit follow on this podcast in the meantime and give us a rating? Welcome back. Now, water bills in London are set to shoot up by almost £100 by 2030 under proposals unveiled today by the industry regulator Ofwat. Thames Water, they're Britain's biggest water supplier, says the money's needed to fix its shattered finances, attract new investors and pay for a multi-billion-pound investment programme. To discover more about this latest blow for London households' finances, the Standard Podcast's joined by Ewan McGaughey, Professor of Law at King's College London and a specialist in public service regulation, including water, who has the detail on Ofwat's announcement.
What Ofwat said this morning is that across England, that all the water companies, not just Thames Water, but bills will go up by an average of 21% over 5 years. So it's about £19 on average per customer per year extra in bill rises. And that might seem like a modest amount for many people, and that's certainly the way that Ofwat wants to spin it. But we've got to remember that we had 350 pollution incidents last year. The sewage infrastructure is broken. Thames Water has got over £15 billion in debt, and that's largely because it's been paying out billions in dividends to shareholders since privatisation. Just in March, with all the pollution incidents going on, it paid out £158 million in dividends, and the CEO was rewarded with £1.7 million in total pay, including his bonus. So many people will be thinking that it's just not fair that prices are going up and we're expected to pour more money down the drain when we're not getting the service that people have paid for. So extra investment is definitely needed to improve the infrastructure. But the people running the water companies, including Thames Water at the moment, haven't proven themselves to be very good at doing the job.
What do we know about the potential appetite from the new Labour government to renationalise water? And what is your view on this being a possible strategy?
Yeah, great question. So the ex-Conservative government didn't want to discuss public ownership at all. Labour is completely different. Now, what Labour has said is that they don't want to bail out the shareholders and the creditors of the water companies. And they said that they don't want to nationalise the companies. So they don't want to buy solvent companies and take on the mountains of debt that these companies have accumulated. But that said, there's a lot of different ways to get to public ownership, which, by the way, is what 90% of countries around the world have for their water companies. And in Scotland, Scottish Water is publicly owned. Bills are about 10% lower. And so the rest of the world is very different to England, which is really an extreme case of privatisation. So under the current law, there's something called special administration. And what this means is that the Secretary of State or Ofwat, so new Labour government, or the regulator, can put a failing water company into administration. And obviously the shareholders lose their money, but it also means that the big banks, the creditors who've been taking loads of money out in debt repayments and interest payments from the water companies, they can be told to take a haircut as well, really down to zero if companies being loaded up with debt interferes with the water companies doing the job that they're meant to do, clean drinking water, sewage being processed properly, not spilled into the rivers and beaches. So Labour has these powers. The Labour government has these powers to put companies in special administration and get rid of the debt, get rid of the shareholders, not bail them out, and it could transition to public ownership. What the Environment Minister, Steve Reed, has said today is not that they're going to do that immediately, but that they want all the water companies to change their company constitutions to focus their jobs on protecting the customers and protecting the environment. And they've also said, really interesting, that they want to set up customer panels that have powers to call up the board of directors of a private water company and make them answer questions.
London's soon-to-be-opened super sewer. What are your hopes for this considerable piece of infrastructure and the ongoing challenges in fighting sewage outflow?
London sewers were some of the first in the world after the Great Stink. It's great that new infrastructure is being brought online, but there's still a huge way to go. So what Ofwat told Thames Water is, in its business plan, it expects to see a 64% reduction of sewage leaks. And so this new sewer is going to do some of that, but it's not going to do all of it. And we've also really got to be asking, why on earth isn't Ofwat demanding 100% reduction of sewage leaks? We don't have to live in a country where there's excrement flowing into the rivers and onto the beaches. It just doesn't need to happen. You might know that the UK has fallen so far down the international rankings that we're level or just behind Albania in the quality of our bathing waters. So we're about the fifth lowest if you look around Europe. And, it didn't used to be that way, and it doesn't need to be this way. So, great that there's new sewage infrastructure, but there's a lot more to do. And it's not going to fundamentally change with Thames Water being owned by private shareholders and foreign sovereign wealth funds in the way that it is now. It's got to be brought back into public ownership at some point.
There's more on these stories in the Evening Standard newspaper and online at standard.co.uk. We're back on Friday at 4 p.m.